There's a moment in Infinity War where we are previewed the dangerous power that our villain, Thanos, desires.
With all 6 stones, I could simply snap my fingers. They would all cease to exist, and I call that mercy.
Within the single line of dialogue, we are presented with his path to ultimate power, the consequences of his obtaining it, and even his twisted rationalization. But there is more. Here with Thanos, we get a warning against authoritarian rule as we preview the symbolic journey of a tyrant. Let's look at the lessons of Avengers Infinity War. Throughout the MCU's filmography, the hero's journey has been the primary mythological backbone, but in Infinity War, we are asked a new question. What makes an ultimate villain? How does evil gain power? This is the first movie in the series to truly explore these questions. When viewing Infinity War from a more distant perspective, the heroes we have grown to love sit in the proverbial back seat, as Thanos steps forward as the true main character of the film. Together we get to view him rise to power through the acquisition of the coveted 6 Infinity Stones, and through this plot, we are able to better understand how authoritarians grasp power from the hands of free citizens. To fully understand the complexity of this story, we need to look at Thanos as a character, what the Infinity Stones truly are, and finally, the powerful symbolism of acquiring those 6 stones. Altogether, we are able to learn from the rise of Thanos. This is the core lesson, or perhaps dire warning, Infinity War provides. Make no mistake, the lead character in Avengers Infinity War is not our familiar group of heroes, but rather Thanos the Mad Titan. As portrayed in the film, he is the leader of a movement looking to balance, control, and therefore improve, quote-unquote, the universe by achieving his specific vision. His vision is killing half the population to avoid depletion of natural resources.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be,
he explains to the younger Gamora, revealing the motivation for his Utopia. In his eyes, the population is a virus on the universe itself. It must be fixed. Genocide is his tool to reach an ideal end, a utopia. The universe would be a better place if he has the courage and the means to complete this heinous act. Does this sound familiar to any power-hungry leaders from the 20th century? Like his counterparts in reality, his logic is twisted, and the end justifies his means. He will provide mercy on the universe through his social engineering, what Ludwig von Mises detailed in Human Action, with his plan requiring the power that the 6 Infinity Stones hold. At his core, Thanos appears to reject the sovereignty of the individual. He must make the choices for the entirety of the universe. He is the savior. He believes that he is the solution to the universe's problems. The individuals are not capable of solving these issues. This is similar to Crime and Punishment's Raskolnikov's and his Extraordinary Man. These are men who are special and justified to commit crime because only they can see the supposed benevolent end. When Thanos is challenged by the older Gamora that his image of the universe will not work, Thanos reveals his ego and proclaims,
I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
Totalitarians are convinced that not only is their intellect superior and their answers correct, but there is no room for other ideas. There is no more to learn, for I, the ruler, know all. Discussion, learning, civility, and rights are discarded for literal and figurative combat. Although his motivation is rationalized through labels such as mercy and utopia, it is perhaps nothing more than true malevolence. It comes from a place of hatred for life and cynicism of society itself. Not mentioned in the movie but seen in the comics, Thanos' original beliefs are rooted in nihilism, or the belief that nothing matters and therefore there is no set of values that should maintain society or how we derive meaning from our lives. When nothing matters, neither does the value of the individual, and this could be a precursor to the tyrant's path to power. Thanos' egoism, intelligence, anti-individualism or anti-personalism, and nihilism is the foundation of his character.
You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
This philosophy is well presented in the movie and it creates a menacing character. Symbolically, he is the archetypal tyrannical king or father. He is also representative of the overreaching government. Further, Thanos is an abstraction of evil itself. His character resonates with us because it is true. He is real. Not literally, of course, but abstractly, he is rooted in absolute truth on who our most dangerous antagonist would be. He is our true villain, frighteningly similar to the worst of the 20th century, and he requires the power the Infinity Stones hold. Now we arrive at the core story of Infinity War. The journey to unite the Infinity Stones is where it begins to gain incredible depth. These stones, or what some might hastily discard as film MacGuffins, can be seen as symbolic lessons on how a tyrant gains complete control over our society. Thanos is our ultimate villain, the boss of the bad guys, the worst scenario the universe can imagine. Our main lesson is learning how this evil comes to power, and subsequently, how we can prevent it. Let's begin with the stones themselves and their basic purpose. Listed, they are the Power, Space, Reality, Time, Mind, and Soul stones. These 6 stones are sources of immense power, and according to Wong, control an essential aspect of our existence. They are the power in the universe that is the foundation of our very being. As we inhabit the universe consciously, it can be seen that these essential aspects are ours to share. They are what defines existence and freedom and individuality itself. Since they are not scientific matter, it's not a big stretch to consider them mysteries or elements of the divine. In this way, they relate to the transcendentals, the true, the good, the beautiful, truth in time, reality and power, goodness in the soul, beauty and vision and reality, all together within the transcendent space provided by God. The stones are not meant to be controlled by one. Those who even have one in their possession, which is rare and difficult, are meant to be stewards, rather than users or certainly abusers of the power. Of course, this approach doesn't match our Titan's vision, who believes that his ideology supersedes all others and even life itself. He sees the stones as tools to use. To put it simply, Thanos is looking to control all aspects of our existence. And if that isn't authoritarian, I don't know what is. So here we are presented with Thanos' mission. How can he obtain and control the 6 Infinity Stones? Or from another perspective, what must Thanos control in order to bring forth his totalitarian vision? The answer lies in the stones themselves. With each stone, the power contained and the means of acquisition hold a hidden lesson and meaning. This complementary symbolism creates a whole lesson greater than the sum of its parts. Let's look at each stone individually in the order they are obtained in the film, with one exception explained later, and then complete the lesson. Beginning with the Power Stone, we see one of the more basic symbolic representations in the film. It grants its users superior strength and enhances powers which they already possess. The stone itself is a representation of our physical power and defense. At the beginning of the film, Thanos has already acquired the Power Stone by destroying Xandar, the highly functional civilization with a powerful military, seen in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. The acquisition of the Power Stone is symbolic of the destruction of well-designed society and the ability of military defense against a tyrannical ruler. In order for a tyrant to gain control, he must have the most physical power, the most dominant military. He must be able to exercise physical control on the universe, without reciprocal force being able to stand up and fight back. By destroying Xandar and acquiring the Power Stone, he is able to control the universe via power. In other words, he has taken our physical power. This is a warning of having our own defense abilities apprehended. We must be able to defend ourselves, our family, our land against threats to our freedom. Physical power should not be consolidated and controlled by one, even if the initial logic appears benevolent in nature. Beware of the entity who possesses too much physical power, or supports measures that would remove our ability to stand up to tyrannical power. A weakened population is susceptible to authoritarian control. Don't doubt those with tyrant ambitions are unaware of this. A quote for your consideration. The most foolish mistake we could possibly make would be to allow the subjugated races to possess arms. History shows that all conquerors who have allowed their subjugated races to carry arms have prepared their own downfall by so doing. Next, as the movie opens up, Thanos is in the process of acquiring the Space Stone. The stone grants the ability to move through space, to be anywhere at any time. Space Stone grants Thanos omnipresence. What other entity is associated with omnipresence? God himself. This stone is the representation of our relationship with the divine. To obtain the stone, what does he have to destroy? The lowercase g gods of the MCU, Thor, Loki, and the remains of Asgard. Symbolically, Thanos must replace the role of God to grasp full control over the universe. The power of God, the pinnacle of hierarchy and authority, as well as the cultural and moral ideas he elevates, is a hurdle to tyrannical ambition. There shall be no higher power than Thanos himself. He strives to be the ultimate, not God. By destroying Asgard, Thanos has symbolically replaced our God. God is dead, God remains dead, we have killed him. Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it? As Dr. Jordan Peterson has stated, Nietzsche prophetically foresaw the death of God or the lack of God as a precursor to destruction seen in the 20th century. We must not let society forget God. Within that destruction, man will fill the void with dangerous ideologies and individuals. Without God, there will be a fragile value structure. Without God, there will be no sovereignty of the individual. Without God, there is no love as God is love. At the very least, recognize the danger of throwing away the mysteries of faith that can prohibit monoculture rule. In addition, there is a warning of elevating our own intellect to godlike levels. We can see today our overconfidence of rationality and intelligence has begun to reject God in our society. This overconfidence can be seen as a path to rational thoughts and ideas like genocide. Man falls in love with rationality. Man falls in love with intelligence, with himself. Man removes God, and evil slithers in. Our ultimate villain has enormous physical might, and now God is out of the picture. What's next? He must control our perception. As the story moves to nowhere, the symbolic place of knowledge, the heroes and Thanos are in search of the Reality Stone. Through possession, the user is able to control perception and alter reality. The stone is a representation of our culture and our perception of reality. Here is housed the Collector, who in the story represents the value of speech and culture as proven by his accumulation of unique items. He is art, he is music, he is individual expression. He has the ability for individuals to create. He has the ability for the galaxy to communicate with each other in these unique forms. Perhaps in a way, he is beauty itself. He has knowledge of the odd, the powerful, the unique, the meaningful. Of course, he'd be housed in capital K nowhere. It is there Thanos destroys him to acquire the Reality Stone and symbolically obtains the ability to control our reality. It is telling that our heroes were initially unaware that Thanos had the stone, whether this was purposeful from the filmmakers or not. A totalitarian figure may seize control of our perception, our media, our culture without us noticing. Ignorant to the power he possesses, he can manipulate our reaction to perceive truths without us knowing until it's too late. Our warning is to not allow this consolidation of power. When a tyrant controls the media, information will no longer be broadcast without bias. The media and culture would no longer be discovered or even rooted in truthful information. They would become propaganda serving the utopian vision. Culture would be controlled from above, as would new ideas, as would words themselves. Opinions would be filtered or placed in a narrative. If authors, content creators, thinkers are not in line with the collective, they will pay the consequences. In our day and age, this may hit closer to home. We may see overt control where the government is the media and everyone knows it, where censorship is a tool used against the people. We may see more covert control where the media and culture appear more organic, yet the strings are being pulled to create subtler propaganda. Their one-sided bias and attempt to manipulate the narrative is designed to create monoculture. Regardless of their forms, the authoritarian regime will need the ability to change how people see the universe so they can create the world in their image alone. Although chronologically the Soul Stone is next, we'll return back to it later as the overall lesson is more instructive in an alternative order. Instead, it's time to look into the symbolism of the Time Stone. Held by Doctor Strange for most of the film, Thanos seeks the Green Stone for the ability to see the past and the future, to control time itself. The Time Stone represents our ability to gain wisdom from the past and avoid the chaos of the future. To obtain the stone, Thanos defeats, in a way, Doctor Strange, himself a representation of spirituality and learning. Simply put, Thanos is seeking to regulate our history, our future, via the Time Stone. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Tyrants understand the need to destroy the lessons of the past. Their mission is to destroy what we were, to therefore control who we are. If there are no lessons from the past, all ideas and guidance come from the one who is in grand control. They will require us to burn or cancel books, to rewrite history, to manipulate our insight of those who came before us. We saw destruction of past culture with the Nazi burning of books and art. Their calls will be rational, implying we must destroy what has come before us so we, meaning the tyrant, can build something better. Without a true record of the past, history can be remade into an image that is more suitable to the authoritarian vision of the future. We must protect the truth of the past in order to help protect us from the chaos of the future. Jumping ahead to the end of the movie, we join Thanos in his quest to obtain the Mind Stone. The final stone in the movie's chronological order is physically residing in an Avenger, the Vision. The stone gives the power to enter the thoughts of others and a means of accessing the subconscious of the universe. We can see why Thanos thirsts after this power. Symbolically, the Mind Stone is a representation of our individual thought and our attention, and how Thanos obtains the stone is important to the lesson within. He must destroy Vision. Here the movie presents some on-the-nose symbolism. A tyrant must destroy or control our vision to access our subconscious and control our mind. Here I saw an opportunity missed by the writers of the movie. It would have been poetic and symbolically appropriate if Thanos had enslaved and controlled Vision after getting the stone. Regardless, we are still warned of the danger of entities controlling our vision and attention. The tyrant seeks to control our thoughts by controlling our attention, and they can control our attention by controlling our vision. As mentioned previously, this control is meant to become an access to our very own subconscious to create collective thought. Tyrants demand that we must all think the same. Any diversity of thought will not be tolerated, as you must think and act like everyone else or you will be punished. We must protect our freedom of thought alongside our freedom of speech. Here is our warning. Don't allow our vision or our speech to be controlled. Practically, this could be seen as a warning against the dangers of modern tools like social media or even one-sided state media. Collectively, our eyes have been drawn down to the technology of today, not allowing us to look upward to the truth. Our vision has been compromised. Our attention has been compromised. We can no longer look upwards towards something better. Perhaps this is the danger of consolidated and powerful social media. A handful of companies control the attention, the vision of society, and perhaps the subconscious of billions of people. All it takes is a little corruption, arrogant intellect, or an overreaching ruler to turn such a tool into a weapon against the very people who are using it. It can be argued that we already see such abuse. Regardless, heed the warning. Now we reach the final stone in our lesson, the Soul Stone. I have saved this for last for the poignancy of the lesson and because of the emotional impact that is correlated in the film. This stone controls life itself and is representative of the soul and humanity present in every being, even Thanos. Our soul, this internal property, is the essence of our being. It's what makes us human, or in the MCU, it's what binds all varieties of species together. A soul represents the value of the individual, the spark of the divine. In our film, we discover the elusive Soul Stone is protected by a form of magic or spell. The stone will only be presented when you sacrifice that which you love, or a soul for a soul. In a heartbreaking moment of the film, Thanos destroys Gamora, the only person he truly loved, to obtain the stone. The initial presentation portrays Gamora as the only soul destroyed, but I believe there is a further understanding to this moment. It was not only Gamora's soul destroyed, but Thanos' as well. His soul fell off the cliff with her. He is now an irredeemable being, soulless and alone. We see this towards the end of the film. While trying to appeal to Scarlet Witch, Thanos reveals his emptiness, almost in an attempt to garner sympathy.
Today I lost more than you can know.
We've seen the destruction of a soul before in literature. For example, it's seen in Lady Macbeth's Outdamned Spot, or Raskolnikov's Torment. There is a sin that changes being itself, and it's murder. To be clear, it's not a reference to wartime casualties or consequences of self-defense, but the conscious act of extinguishing an innocent individual from being that devastates the soul, perhaps more than anything. Where some sin corrodes, this sin destroys. Raskolnikov confirms this in his confession to Sonia. Was it the crone I killed? I killed myself, not the old crone. Here is our lesson on the soul. Individuals are sovereign, and malevolent destruction of an innocent light of the universe is the most devastating act. To become a true totalitarian ruler, you must be willing to destroy your very soul to obtain complete power. Stalin could do it. Hitler could too. Beware of those who are willing to trade their soul for power. This is the price of tyrannical utopia. In the dreamlike setting, the young Gamora even directly asked Thanos, what did it cost? As Thanos answers,
everything.
Let's return to our earlier question. How does evil gain power? Our answer? Evil will maintain physical control, present as God himself, control and manipulate culture and media, regulate the writings of the past and the ideas of the future, manage the thoughts and attentions of society, and will sell their soul to do it. Evil will try to destroy truth, goodness, and beauty. As we take a step back to look at the larger picture, we are able to see this complete symbolic warning of Thanos as a villain. Remember, he is representative of the worst, our most evil villain. Beware of any person, organization, or government who has or strives to control a combination of any of these 6 aspects symbolically represented through the stones. In Infinity War, we are presented with this warning. Optimistically, we are also presented a solution. The broad MCU story asks what will save us from evil, and the answer? Superheroes. Individuals who are brave and stand up for our freedom, who stand up to the tyrant that is looking to control life within the universe. As the MCU story progressed, we saw super individuals like Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Thor, Natasha, and others voluntarily choose to bear the responsibility of protecting others by fighting tyrannical evil. They accepted the responsibility of being in the universe. Even in the presence of ideological differences, see Captain America: Civil War, even when organizations like S.H.I.E.L.D. become corrupt and crumble, their recognition of a shared responsibility supersedes. It is super individuals working together, striving for the better, that make the difference. With the completion of the Infinity War storyline via Endgame, we do see our superheroes save the day and somewhat stick the symbolic landing, although the lessons from that portion of the story are to be told at a different time. Perhaps we need to strive for a form of personalism over collectivism, individual responsibility and recognition of the divine nature within people over group ideology. Here our heroes appear to be telling us, step up, take responsibility for yourself, for the soul of the world. Be the best you can be. Protect the sovereign individual. Protect truth, goodness, and beauty. Do not allow the seizure or control of any of the 6. This solution can be summarized in a quote from Viktor Frankl, a man who endured the tyrannical authoritarian Nazi regime in concentration camps, and whose personal account and man's search for meaning continues to benefit society. The world is in a bad state, but everything will become still worse unless each of us does his best. These stories will continue to resonate with us because if we look closely enough, we see truths that have reverberated across history. We are provided with both the warning of great evil and the blueprint to prevent it. I urge us to continue to look closely at the world around us, regardless of current bias or affiliation or ideology, and speak truth about those looking to obtain more power than one person or entity should. These 6 points of power may or may not be everything that is required for authoritarian rule, but the consolidation is at very least a dangerously large step towards it. I fear for the day in reality when evil controls what those 6 stones represent, because the demise of our world and the virtue it holds will be fast. How fast? Our world might be gone in the snap of our fingers.